Don't judge what you don't know as wrong. Take the opportunity to understand.
I've always wondered why, in such a digitalized world, there were people so attached to more analogic methods, such as the bullet journal. For this reason, I want to try this technique for 30 days. Let's see. The dotted notebook, the pen, elementary school markers. Okay, let's start. In this video, I will give you my opinion on this practice and I will tell you why I hated it. First of all, let's clarify what the bullet journal, aka Bujo, is. According to the creator's definition, the bullet journaling method is an analog system to trace the past, organize the present, and plan for the future. This video is not meant to be a specific tutorial on how to prepare a bullet journal. So there are hundreds of videos on YouTube that do it much better than I could do it. In any case, however, I want to explain to you just the basics of how I prepare it for myself. On the first page, I inserted the legend. This is used to mark all the measurements of your journal, so as to always have them available in case you need to make squares or symmetrical drawings on the various pages. Also, I wrote the basic rules of the bullet journal. The point is used to indicate any task. The X to mark a task completed. The hyphen specifies that it is a note or an event. If unchecked, it means that the task has been cancelled or has become irrelevant. The greater than symbol indicates that the task is postponed. The asterisk to specify that the task is particularly important. This is all you need to know if you want to start bullet journaling easily. Everything else can be avoided. For completeness and to recreate the true experience of bullet journaling, I want to add a few things, always trying to remain as minimal as possible. The calendar. All we do is create a column for each month, in which we first write the classic calendar to see how the month is divided weekly. Then we write the days of each month in the relative column. This is used to mark the various events, like birthdays, invitation to parties, organized outings, etc. The next two pages are dedicated to the month that is about to begin, where for each day a nice big box is made where you can write things down. After the pages of the month, I created a check-in page, which is a page where I wrote how I felt physically and emotionally. The following page is perhaps the most interesting. That is a brain dump page, where you can write down the ideas that comes to you that you want to note on the fly. Next, we have the page regarding the habit tracker, where we write down all the habits we want to carry on and associate a calendar so as to mark ourselves every day if we perform that habit to keep track of them. Colors are generally used to differentiate different habits and to mark the day on which an action was complete. That's what I got the markers for. Finally, the page dedicated to gratitudes. The norm wants you to write a sentence every evening to say what you are grateful for that day. A powerful tool that, however, I'm not able to use properly. I couldn't think anything not too trivial to write. I would have written the same sentence every day probably. And to finish with the setup, let's start with the actual month, divided into columns spread over several pages, where each column is dedicated to a single day. This is where the daily tasks will be written and managed. This is how I set up my bullet journal. It's not ultra minimalist, but not too complex, and it's not aesthetically carried for. I like the various examples found on the internet where they are real masterpieces. My aim wasn't to get a nice journal to show off or in which to vent my artistic skills, but it was to understand if this tool could be useful for me in everyday life and increase my productivity or organization. Spoiler, it wasn't. The first defect that you will surely have already noticed is the procedure required to the setup of the journal. It is not at all trivial and really takes a lot of time. The same action of any dedicated application takes a few minutes or a few seconds if you use ready-made templates. In fact, it took me almost 4 hours to set up the journal. And honestly, if it wasn't for this YouTube video, I would have preferred to pass the time in another way. Sure, there will be people who like to spend time like this and who appreciate doing these operations, but honestly it's not for me. Maybe it's because I am too busy and it's difficult for me to find time for something I could do in a lot less time with a digital system. Okay, do you see what is the problem? Today I worked 8 hours. I trained myself and I spent an hour to editing a video. And now I have to take the journal, write down the tasks for tomorrow. If I had done it by my phone, I had already finished. I can understand that some people find this technique almost as if it were meditative. They like to spend time between drawings and writing various tasks. And maybe this relaxes them, but I'm not like that. I must say that I like the feeling of writing by hand, but not in this way, not to manage or organize myself. Okay, therefore, I just realized that I was wrong to mark the tasks as complete. I cancel them with a line instead of mark as complete with a cross. Not the best start. Okay, I am at day 13. One thing that I notice it's really helpful is the brain dump section, where you can write the idea that come to your mind while, for example, you are working. And I really find it helpful because usually I use the Notion for this task, and with Notion I have to open the app on my PC or on my smartphone, and I can be distracted by something else. Instead, with this method, I have always the journal on my desk at home, and I can open it, I can write down the idea that came to my mind, and close it and return immediately at work. So I really appreciate this thing. Let's come back to work again. Okay guys, day 20, I admit that I have also started using Notion to manage things to do. In fact, I much prefer to organize my tasks digitally, with the possibility of keeping track of them in any place with any device. Because another problem I notice is that obviously to use the Bujo, you must have it physically always with you. And this is a problem because like some days ago, I was in my work office, and in that circumstance I couldn't keep track of the tasks I had to do or does to be cancelled. And for me this is a big limit. Finally, it's the 30th day, and to celebrate this last day, I want to write something for which I am grateful.
I'm glad that today is the last day of bullet journal.
So, summing up, points I liked. The handwriting feel is really nice. The brain dump, the section where to write the ideas that cross your mind, is really useful, and I think I will keep it. Maybe in another way. The concept of handwriting tasks make you think about their true importance. Digitally, it's a snap to add tasks to tasks and copy and paste them to the next day in a second. While handwriting makes you think if that particular task needs to be rewrite or not, since it is 3 days that you send it back. Now, points I didn't like. Too much time required both for setup and handwriting of things. I prefer to spend the time doing other things, like reading or going out for a walk. You must always have it with you. You can't forget it, otherwise you lose your whole organization. I see no advantage for me in using this analog method instead of a digital method. Okay, so I enjoyed bullet journaling? Absolutely no. Would I recommend you to try it? Absolutely yes, because I believe that this method can be useful to many, and depriving yourself of the opportunity to try it, in my opinion, makes little sense. It does not require a big budget or extraordinary equipment, so I don't see why not to try it. And the advices I feel like giving you are: do it as minimal as possible. The drawings and the various sections to write how you feel spiritually, leave them to the future, if you understand that you like this method. And absolutely don't seek perfection in the scenes and traits, otherwise you will go crazy and continue to fail. So, thanks for watching this video. I hope I was helpful to you. If you want to see more content on personal growth, productivity, or organization, subscribe to the channel and take a look at the description for all my socials.